Welcome to the DVX product installation overview video connecting the sections.
This section we're going to go over some of the mechanical part of installing of the DVX cabinets. So in this case, what we're going to cover in the back side is prepping the cabinets to be raised by a crane to be put on the structure. So normally what we start with to put on the back of the cabinets is we're going to have our mounting bracket and then two bolts that will connect the mounting bracket to our cabinet. For each cabinet, for let's say example of 513 top and bottom, we'll have 4 brackets, one in each of the corners. So when we put the bracket on, we've got our slot. That'll match up with these 4 holes. So a good rule of thumb is to start out using the middle hole. Put our bracket on, start our bolts, and it'll just slide down loose. We do the same for the bottom. For the other corner, we put one on. Now, one of the things to do is, recommendations is if this was our bottom level of our structure, first level, what I like to do is measure the tube that we're going to be putting on, and then I'll do a rough preset of the clip angle. So I would measure from the bottom of the cabinet to the bottom of the tube to the clip angle, and then I would lock these down tight. What that does is when you lower the section then onto the structure, it helps stabilize the section and makes it more rigid, so then you can do your leveling and fine adjustments up there without having the cabinet swing and drop down and slide up and down. So I've done both the bombs. If it's a section, once the bottom row is in and we're raising other sections up, then the next level displays, I would recommend taking the bottom clips and push them up as high as they go. That way, when it comes into the structure, you don't have to worry about hitting the steel with the clips getting snagged. You have clearance to set down onto the cabinet below. Okay, when installing the top brackets will go this way. On certain occasions, maybe due to structure-wise, they might be turned around and like this. Always look at the drawings for levels to see if there's any differences in how brackets are mounted for the top level. But default will always be like this. Steel tube would be here. Process is the same. Start with the middle two. I like to do the same thing for top brackets, is leave them loose and let them slide down. When you're bringing the section in on the structure, this way you have the most clearance for the steel tube to slide above. Don't try to put it in place, otherwise you can hit on the steel tube, causing interference for installing the section. So if it's loose, once the section's in place, you've got level, then push the bracket up to meet the steel tube and tighten down your bolts. Once you have the sections in place on the structure, open up the back cabinet door, and inside each cabinet you'll find 2 bags. You have a blue bag, which is labeled interconnect hardware. These bolts will be used to go between cabinets to tie them together. The second bag are our self-drilling bracket screws. These will go into the slot and the 2 holes on our mounting bracket into the steel tube. For normal installation, always recommend putting in the bolt into the slotted opening at the top first, to allow for adjustment forwards and back. Once the cabinet section is in place and lined up, level and square, then we would take two more self-tapping screws and put them into the two openings on either side of the slot to lock that section into place. You should always have at least two screws in each bracket and in those two openings. The slot is used for adjustment. You're not leaving the structure with just one screw in the mounting bracket. When we put sections together, the next cabinet, the two cabinets always bolt up to each other. And we have on each corner, we'll have a guide block on each cabinet. The guide block, guide block. So when the cabinets come together, those blocks would line up, and between each one then we have two screws that'll go this way, and then they'll also tie, and there'll be two sets that'll go up between the two cabinets for anchoring. If the system comes like this, pre-assembled, the top screws will already be installed. You just need to do the screws between the bottom half and the top half. So once we're ready, we take some screws out of our blue bag, the mounting hardware. Now on the guide blocks, there are nut certs installed, but they go opposite ways. So by looking at it, so here's the slot. So on the bottom, the screw would go this way and tighten into the other cabinet. On the top half, the nut cert is this way, so the bolt would come from this direction into the cabinet. So front access, we want to make sure if we can get to the front, makes life a lot easier for installing the bolts. We remove the module, put our bolts in, make sure everything lines up. We always want to check from cross, when we do an installation, that the line across the louver is straight across. We don't want any shifting up or down, and we want to make sure that we are as tight as the seam between two modules at this location. Okay, for some installations, front axis may not be an option, so you have to install the stitch bolts from the back. To do that, we remove our back sheet, hang it at an angle, and then with your hand, get up in there, and then put the screw in, the bolt in, and tighten it up. In the installation kits that come with the tool kits, there will be a swivel head and a ratchet that will allow you to easily get up in there and then tighten the bolt from the back side. We would repeat the process on the top half as well on the bottom. So on the bottom of the cabinet, we would do the same thing for putting our bolts in.
Here is an on-site crew positioning a section from the crane. Here is an on-site video where the installers are positioning and temporarily securing a section. This video is to show the audience what happens behind the section when installers are fastening the sections to the structure and to each other.